Hi, this is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. So it's such a pleasure having my comic books completely organized. Now I can find whatever I want. This was one of the comics that I thought disappeared. Yes, there's still comics that disappeared, notably my Spidey Super Stories, and my first 12 or so issues of Star Wars. And I don't know where they went. I would say like a good 100 or so of my comics disappeared, and I'm talking years ago, probably in the mid '80s. I don't know if I lent them to friends, or if my parents threw them away, or what. But there's just comics that I completely remember buying, like a whole series of Spidey Super Stories. I don't know where it went, and those are impossible to find. And nobody wants them. It's comic books produced by the Electric Company. I didn't even like them at the time, but I was a completionist Spider-Man freak at the time. So anyway, we're talking about Star Wars. I was so glad when I saw this. I thought it was gone. And I was just looking up the prices. This is like $125 to replace. So here we have 1979, number one. This is 75 cents. This is king size annual. So I already explained what annuals are. Once a year, they make an annual, hence the word annual. And they come out in the summertime. Although this one, I looked up the publishing date. It came out December 4th, so it's not always the case. But most of the time they came out during the summertime. And it was just, an extra issue. So there would be really 13, like a regular title would have like 13 issues. So 12 regular issues and then one annual a year. But not all the time did annuals come out. So here's Walt Simonson's signature. So this is Walt Simonson, one of my favorite artists. He did a phenomenal Thor, which I will be showcasing. I mean, now that I found all my comics, I have no excuse not to do the Walt Simonson Thors. This I liked, where they started doing these like square bound on the side. So this comic is held together really well. You can see how beat up it is. Now, I had grandparents that lived about 4 hours upstate from me, and we used to drive out there. And I saw this comic in like a department store. They had like a magazine rack, and this was on the magazine rack. And of course, my father was like, "Yeah, get the kid comics. He'll sit there for hours." It was amazing. I would read the comic, read it over and over. It didn't matter what it was, over and over and over again, almost like memorizing comics back then. I wish I could remember the details of some of the comics that I read, and this was one of them. Just read it over and over and over and over again. I don't remember any other comics from that particular trip, so I'm sure I had other comics, but this one I remember. So whenever I see this cover, I think of my grandmother, and I think of her sauce and pasta that she used to make, and running around to my grandparents' backyard. And it was upstate. There was no street lights or anything like that. At night it was dark. You didn't want to go outside. There was like bears. It was in the woods, kind of upstate. So at night you just reread your comics. During the day you ran around out in nature, and at night you reread comics over and over and over again. So here we go. Let's enough of me rambling. So 1979, a little Crossman is a lot of fun. Crossman guns, like I keep saying, the 70s was a different time. Getting your guns and BB guns in the past. So here's the story box that it introduces you. Long ago in a galaxy far, far away, there exists a state of cosmic civil war. A brave alliance of underground freedom fighters has challenged the tyranny and oppression of an awesome galactic empire. This is their story. Star Wars, the greatest space fantasy of all, continuing the story begun in the film by George Lucas, released by 20th Century Fox. So here's the credits. Chris Claremont, guest writer. I didn't even know this was a Chris Claremont comic till I opened it up, because before I looked at this, I just wanted to see who did the credits. I was excited to do it, and I can't believe it was Chris Claremont. It seems like he's popping into a lot of my childhood memories before I knew who he was. When he did the X-Men, the Uncanny X-Men, for 17 years, and Mike Vosberg and Steve Lola, and I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, and Steve Lola, as you may or may not know if you see my showcase of the Ghost Rider with the Death Race, he did the inking on that on Jim Starlin. Mike Vosberg was a solid Marvel artist. Actually, not just Marvel, he did DC. Classic. You'll see he's I think he's aping Walt Simonson's style here. So maybe he was picked because of similar styles. And Walt Simonson he made his name doing the Star Wars comic and the Battlestar Galactica comic. So this was like, I guess, before his superstardom rise. And to tell you the truth, he kind of got a cult following after he did Manhunter for DC, but I didn't know that because I wasn't a DC guy until around '85, and he became a comic book legend with his Thor run with Beta Ray Bill and all that. And I'll definitely be breaking that out. So where we Bob Sharon, colorist, Archie Goodwin. I already talked about Archie Goodwin was an editor who was I thought was just what an editor should be: encouraging, taking risks, and a lot of guidance. I never worked for the guy, so I have rose-colored glasses, but apparently other people who worked for him said he was a great guy. Unlike Jim Shooter, people said he was a tyrant, but I was a kid who just read the comics and I just saw the work. The work was wonderful. Sometimes you don't want to know how the sausages are made. So look at this splash page. Classic Star Wars. I just love that Luke and Leia wear the same clothes and hairstyles for years. So Star Wars came out in 77. This is 79. This is before Empire Strikes Back came out in the movie, and that's significant. I'll talk about that a little bit. So Luke Skywalker, Tatooine's moisture farmer turned Star Wars fighter pilot. So here they are. They had to park the Millennium Falcon for supplies. So it's already like veering from the movie continuity. That's one of the things that used to freak me out about this comic, because it was obviously different. They introduced characters and I think they wanted to stay close to the actual movies, but at the same time they couldn't stay slavishly close because at this point there was only one movie, and I think the holiday special was out at this point. The holiday special came out maybe around if this came out in December, then the holiday special came out, because that came out right before Empire Strikes Back. So this is probably right before the holiday special. So here's this guy by the 7 moons of Scartus. It's them. So here they are walking through the market. Sexy space alien chicks. Leah's amused. I just like the good likeness. That looks like a good face. A little demure for my taste. What? You're joking, aren't you? I was wondering how long it would take you to know. So they're flirting. Leia's flirting. She's saying she dresses in skimpier outfits than that, right, Luke? And then, of course, another sexy alien chick comes out, and I don't know. I just love the design. To me, this is not Star Wars. This doesn't look like George Lucas aliens, but it's just great as far as I just like the way they look. This is just great comic book aliens. These cat-like people. Here she has a bumpingly in the butt. What in the butt? The wingworm slammed into deliberately. I'm all right. Let it pass. Okay, the last thing we need is attention, and blah, blah, blah. This is a big issue, so I'm not going to go over all the details. I'm just going to talk, this stupid ad. I made fun of it a few times. Enough's enough. The gum fighter. And we've seen that Reed Richards is a proper superhero who uses Twinkies to defeat people, because he's the most intelligent man in the world, as confirmed by the fact that he knows Twinkies. So, you bump into... Let me go back a page. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Slay them. I went a little too fast. That's crazy. You dropped this. So they're being accused of stealing, and now the cat people are slaying them. I was going to say it's pretty over. She bumped into Luke's butt, and now Luke's going to start murdering. But they did say slay them. So Luke takes out the lightsaber and murder-ronies them. Notice that it's blue. So head for the Falcon. I'll run. But what about the cat human? So he's going to fight. He's taking out their guns. And excellent, young one. You're even more impressive than I hoped. Although you do not know it, the long hunt has begun. You and Princess Leia will lead me to Han Solo, and this time he will not escape. And when that hunt is done, you will all die slowly and by my hands. So they've run into this spaceport, space city, whatever you want to call it, and running, fist fight. Luke's not the best at fist fighting. And remember, this is before Empire Strikes Back. Luke people always forget. Luke stumbled through the first movie. Luke stumbled. Watch Star Wars again with an objective eye. Luke is a goof. He's a farmer in over his head. You know, Leia has to save him. Obi-Wan has to save him in the bar, and then when Obi-Wan gets killed, he's just standing there in the front. He's going to get murdered by stormtroopers. I know they're not the best shots in the world, but even one of them's going to get. They have to pull him into the ship. He's just bumbling through that movie. You know, Han did a lot more than Luke ever did in the movie. And then in Empire Strikes Back, he gets a little better, to the point where Jedi came out and he's threatening, what's his name, Jabba the Hutt. I was like, Luke, shut up. Luke, you're gonna get killed. I had no faith. I knew he was just a bumbling idiot. You know, I was like, Luke, you're gonna get murdered. You got to knock it off. Shut your mouth. You know, it was scary. And then when he started doing stuff, the whole audience cheered. So here we go. Luke's in the thing, and Pam Grier jumps out. It's been Katya. So you know, Han's flying all over the galaxy. He's, you know, it's not solo all the time. Sometimes, you know. So here they are. She's a nice looking lady. Princess, are you jealous? So whatever. Han, it's her. Han, do you know this woman? It's old business, kid. So Han and Katya are going to do some business. And what is it? Oh, so Han goes evening Lasker. So Han stake it out and going after the people that are going after him, because let's face it, Han is so much cooler than Luke. And Chewbacca does what Chewbacca does. He's just being, you know, working on stuff, being useful. That's one of my pet peeves in Star Wars, is that Chewbacca was never given full character status. He was always like relegated to like Han's accessory. And they confirmed that in the new movie when Han gets killed, and if he was a full-fledged character, he would have just taken the Millennium Falcon and be like, well, I'm going home now, or I'm going on the mission, you know. But no, Rey gets the Millennium Falcon, and then she gets the Wookiee as Chewbacca as a new accessory to hang. You know, she gets to hang him on her person. It's just drives me nuts. So look at this smoke creature. Look at this. I hurt myself at work today. It's gross. I'll try to keep that out of the camera. So I guess he just murders her. I forgot all about this. His body absorbed by the demon. Skinny, self-conscious. So, you know, back then in the 70s, everybody was skinny. You know, everybody now is thick, but back then everybody was skinny. Superhero dolls. Wasn't allowed to call them dolls, but me and my friends would tease you if you called them dolls. They were action figures, you know. So that's the way it was back then. Utility belts, Spider-Man mask. So look at this smoke demon. That is so cool. That is just great. So Katya's dead. Luke's battling this thing. He feels unsolid. I feel it in my mind. And then Chewbacca just rages. And they're blasting it. It doesn't matter. Nice try, princess. We got to get out of here. So the only thing that stops it, of course, is a lightsaber to the breadbasket. But that is just cool. I don't know. I dig this. It kind of reminds me of Bill Willingham's artwork. I don't know why. But if you've been a fan of this channel for a while, you'll know that I'm a big fan of Bill Willingham's writing and his art. So it's dead, and by the souls of its victims trapped within the monster are finally free. Yeah, so Luke, how do you know that? He's just blowing smoke. I've been scared before I faced death, but I felt nothing like this. That demon was a creation of the Force, given life for someone whose power rivals Darth Vader's. You know. So she's ordering Chewbacca around because, you know, Chewbacca is an NPC. He's not a full-fledged character. And Han comes in. I know she was at a lot more. So Han lost another girlfriend. But, you know, dating Han Solo is a recipe for disaster, I guess. So here we go, the Millennium Falcon. That's just cool. You know, as a kid, this hole right here used to bother me, and it used to bother me that it was unbalanced. But now, as an adult, I appreciate it. So now he's going through the stories of these winged people, reminiscent about Katana. And nope, we're on page 18, and so much story has happened, so much dialogue, so much action. Marvel was so much fun. Sexy space alien comes out, and what are they doing? TIE fighters are attacking. So Nice shooting, princess. I do my humble best. What are they referring to? 3 shots, 3 direct hits, 3 less fighters to worry about. Nice shooting, princess. That's one thing. I don't know if they stumbled upon this, but it's one thing. If you go back and watch the original trilogy of Star Wars, Princess Leia never misses. Luke misses, Han misses, Chewbacca misses, but Princess Leia never misses. So that's something cool to ponder, and that's kind of some of the evidence that she was Force sensitive. So I don't mind that they gave her Force sense. I mean, why not? She was, Anakin's daughter. So here we go, twins. So here we got some TIE fighters fighting, direct hits, and I remember this panel. The artificial gravity's gone, which never happens in Star Wars or Star Trek. In Star Trek, they even said that the last thing that will ever break is the artificial gravity because of whatever redundancies, blah 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 blah. But the real reason is floating special effects are expensive. It's easy to fake no oxygen and stuff, turn the lights off, than it is to float around. So here TIE fighters are fighting the Millennium Falcon, which I always thought was a cool name. This is like the weirdest thing, because I always looked at these pictures of Conan and I thought they were so cool, but I never read the Conan comics because, to tell you the truth, I was into superheroes. I wasn't into like the fantasy stuff. It wasn't really until a couple of years after this, maybe, when I started playing Dungeons & Dragons. I think I started playing Dungeons & Dragons around like 83, 84. And then maybe I should have gotten into Conan comics. I actually picked up a few around that period. That's just a classic Thor. I love that. Love that. And there's the thing. And here's this Revolutionary War soldiers. And what is he saying? He is ours. So the TIE fighters go back. They're working on a ship. Look, there's R2-D2 and C-3PO. Mistress, Master Luke is life readings. I know, 3PO. Luke, he's passed out. So he's running a fever. He's getting sick. And what is this? Oh, as the Falcon skims the high mountains past, the life pod is ejected. So why did Master Solo abandon us? And you and Master Luke not his friends? He did it to save us, 3P. He knew the Falcon had no chance, and he's too big a target to miss. But the Imperials might overlook a life pod. So, little borrowing from the first plot. They're in a life pod, and they get captured by sexy, hunky, blue bird person. So, it's Chapter 2. We'll stop here because my videos are getting a little too long. So tomorrow we'll finish with Chapter 2 and some more observations about Star Wars in general. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is King Size Annual Star Wars: The Long Hunt. This was just a classic comic. All right, I'll see you tomorrow for the conclusion of this. All right, bye-bye.